Dante Markelle, George Galante, and Jameer Nelson, our old friend, kind enough to give us a few minutes. And, well, Jameer, it's good to catch up with you. Just let us – what the heck have you been up to the last couple of weeks? This thing is so surreal right now, isn't it?
Yeah, underlying circumstances is enjoying my family, man. I mean, as much as I can. We're blessed to have somewhat some land at our house, so we get to go outside and stay on our property and play different games. We played a game called CrossNet. We have a basketball court, so we do stuff out there on the court. We do a little batting cage. So we stay active, man, and try to keep the kids off the electronics as much as possible. But it's almost like you have to give them something because we make them read, we make them do math and all that stuff. But they're back in school now, which is actually good online. So they kind of have somewhat of a routine going now. But when they were on spring break, it was tough because we were trying to do spring break stuff, let them relax and let them enjoy stuff. But it's tough. It's tough, but luckily to have family and friends, we're all going through this together and just kind of bouncing ideas off each other and holding each other accountable to stay safe.
So I've been on your Twitter a little bit lately, and I've seen some videos. Is that from the palatial Nelson estate out there? Is that where I'm from? We got a
little bit of land.
I saw the center court logo. I was like, oh, Jameer's got it going on over there with the full court.
Basketball has done me right, man.
That's awesome.
That's why we can't get them to come visit. Who's going to leave that place?
I know. I'm going to come spend the week there.
So have you made up any games? Have you and the family made up any games to pass?
You know what's funny? We were playing tennis with our hands and with a volleyball. It was me versus my two oldest daughters. And it was more so me trying to trick them into moving more laterally instead of me saying, you guys are athletes, let's get the ladder out or let's do some drills. I was just trying to get them to move laterally. Then I hurt my hip. I didn't want to tell them that, but so we had to stop.
Why am I not surprised that you hurt your hip?
I mean, 38 years old. I haven't played basketball in 2.5 years, probably. Of course, I'm gonna hurt my hip.
Yeah, no doubt about that. So what else?
At least I have a hip to hurt.
That's true.
That's true. That is true.
That's true. That's true. Now, what else have you been doing, you and your family doing during this time? Because normally, I mean, you guys will be going pretty nonstop, right? The girls are playing softball.
Yep.
And you got your son at GW, which we'll get to in a minute. But you guys would be going all over the place at this point, right?
I mean, literally, the schedule for my daughter's travel softball teams. My oldest one, she's 14. And my other one, my youngest, she'll be my middle one, she'll be 12 in a couple of days. I mean, it's nonstop every weekend. My oldest, she goes to Colorado, California, Virginia. My younger one last year, she was in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, Oklahoma. So we're all over the place. It just slows you down a little bit. Well, actually a lot, which is kind of good for us. We get to enjoy each other a little more. Like I said, nobody wants to be in these circumstances, but you have to make the best out of it. And, what we're doing, we're cooking together, trying to teach the kids little recipes and stuff like that. Focusing on them with their time management and stuff like that. So you can take positive out of this and try to make things better. But it sucks. I'm not gonna lie, it sucks. Yeah. Nobody's used to staying in the house as much as we are all staying in the house. But you if you don't find a positive, and you'll drive yourself crazy.
I had to go down to Lowe's and lay a bunch of sod, Jameer. What's the worst thing you've had to do since you've been in the house?
Oh, man. Let me see. Oh, man. Like the first, maybe second day, we cleaned and organized a shed and put these racks up. Why we put racks up in a shed, I don't know. Something my wife wanted to do. So I got nothing but time. So we did it. Now I have to redo the mailbox because somebody knocked it down. If you're supposed to be staying in, how do you knock my mailbox down?
Right. How does that happen?
I don't know, but whatever. So somebody knocked my mailbox down and got to redo that. And I've been putting off doing my garage. So I got time to do everything I need to do. It's just me. I need to stop procrastinating, especially with the kids being back in school and they're on the schedule. I need to get things done and probably try to get myself a little smarter, read a couple more books or something.
Nah, we got time for that.
Do you walk to the mailbox, or do you take like an ATV or something?
I walk.
All right. It is time to get bored. You're right. This is great with the family time. I will say that. That is, we wish we could be out doing stuff, but I find myself, going through school again. It's hard. Like getting kids to sit and focus. I have so much appreciation for our teachers in this country. Yep. I did anyway. But to keep an entire classroom of kids focused, and that's what the whole country is doing now, try to get their kids to look at a computer or screen and do their schoolwork. It's tough, but I have so much appreciation, not only for the people on the front lines that are fighting this thing, doctors and everybody, but these teachers who are on the front lines every day with our kids.
Yeah, it's things like that, doctors and, gas station attendants and pharmacists and teachers you take for granted when you're in regular life. But when you're in a situation like this, the pandemic, those are the real heroes. Those are the people who deserve all the credit because, believe it or not, they're the ones they're allowing the world to continue to go on. If it wasn't for those people who are on the front line and those people who are going to work every day and giving everybody what they need in the grocery stores and stuff like that, who knows? Like this thing could be even worse. Luckily I was able to get to the liquor store before it shut down.
I think we all made that our first priority before we got locked in, right?
It's like, should I go get some chicken or some Hennessy? Let me go get this Hennessy first. Hennessy gonna run out before the chicken.
Priorities.
Oh, man.
Kids will be fine with cereal.
Yeah, man. Kids will be fine.
I was fine with cereal. They could be fine too.
No, it's like you said. It's amazing to see how disciplined the teachers could have kids.
Yeah.
10, 15, 20 kids at one time in one class, and working towards the same goal. It's almost like a team. It's almost like a coach. You respect that coach, and I'm sure if I tell my kids the same thing that teacher tells the kids, they won't listen to me.
Absolutely.
Just like a coach.
Yeah,
no doubt.
You're right.
No doubt about that. All right, Jameer, let's reminisce a little bit because it seems like lately on social media you've also been reminiscing a little bit with Obi Toppin winning both the Naismith and the Wooden Award this year. And you were the last player to do that, and then you reminded everybody about that by putting some pictures up of the trophies from your house. Go back to that time when you were at St. Joe's, that amazing run you guys went on, where you guys captured the country, really, the hearts of everybody during that run.
Well, it's funny. I wasn't able to enjoy it until maybe like my 10th year in the NBA. When you're going through the moment, you don't realize how much fun you were having or how much history you're making or what impact you're having on the world. I've had so many people or so many kids over the last, 5 years come tell me they went to St. Joe's because of that run. That's life-changing for a university and for a student, to be a part of something like that. So for myself, I just look at it as now, it's like, this is cool. And, you tip your head off to Coach Anthony Grant and Obi Toppin and Dayton, who were on a similar run. It wasn't undefeated, but being a mid-major school, number 3 in the country, having the player of the year and the coach of the year, it says a lot about their style of play and their togetherness. To be able to have a superstar like Obi Toppin, the rest of your team have to be on board and allow him to be that superstar. And Coach Grant, he instilled that in that team at some point, and it was good to see. I was doing college basketball this year, so I got a chance to do a lot of their games, and I was impressed. I was impressed how they all moved together. It was one, Obi Toppin was going to get his 20 points, but everybody else just played their part and played their role. And as far as me putting up my trophies, I just had to let people know that I did it, because everybody likes attention. I don't care if we all like guys, I don't like attention. I love attention like everybody else. So I just wanted everybody to know that I got the same trophies in my trophy case. And my trophy case is probably bigger than his. So
that is probably true.
Yes, it is.
Now we've had a lot of time now with no sports at now. Have you gone back into the archives and like maybe, hey, this is a good time to, hey kids, gather around, watch dad do his thing?
No, I'm not that cocky. But the funny thing, what I've been doing is I've been watching a lot of baseball, a lot of older baseball games on the MLB network, some older basketball games, reminiscing that way. It's funny, like I was just watching the Red Sox and the Yankees. You know, that's a heck of a rival back in early 2000s. But now it's like it's not a rival anymore to me. You know what I'm saying? It's not the same. As 2003, 2004, Manny Ramirez and all those guys playing, it's just not. But I don't think I'll watch any. I watched one of my high school games by myself. It's funny. I sat in my theater. I cut the theater off and I watched. I don't know why I did this. I watched the basketball game, my high school game, on my phone.
Why?
I don't know. Just some stuff you just can't like. I don't know why I did it. But I ended up watching the game, and I found myself critiquing myself like I critique my son. And I'm like, why did you do this? Why did I do that? Whatever. And I'm like, well, I can't tell me not to do it because I already did it. It's too late.
Right.
So, but I don't want to gather the family around. I mean, they've seen me play enough.
Like the 86 Mets stuff was on the other day, Dante. I almost called you to watch that if you wanted to, share that with me.
I'm a Red Sox fan. I'm my Big Papi right there.
I see that.
I'm not interested.
I got some Big Papi cleats at home.
Yeah, nice, right? So then let me ask you this. You're a baseball. I don't know how much you follow baseball, but the Houston Astros thing and maybe even the Boston Red Sox thing, how much does that bother you as a professional athlete? If you knew that an entire team possibly cheated its way to a championship?
Well, I'm gonna say this: every athlete tries to find an advantage, but you have to do that within the guidelines and within the rules.
Right.
And when you break the rules the way they did as a team, as an organization, it's sad. It's sad because you got guys who livelihoods depending on that series. You got guys who were supposed to get certain amount of money if they would have won in terms of incentives. You got guys who would have got better contracts the next year or could have been on certain teams and coaches involved as well. I mean, it's just so many different levels of wrong there. I mean, I'm all for, working out harder and getting extra work in to better yourself or, watching extra film and stuff like that. But when you're signaling or beating on a drum or doing anything else that's tipping off pitches, you still have to hit that ball. But Major League Baseball, you're not sitting on curveball with a guy throwing 105 miles per hour fastball. You're not like that's almost impossible. Right. You're like as a batter, you're thinking fastball. You have to, because if not, you're going to be late.
That's a good point. Well, I know you're watching. We're all trying to do what we can and watch as many sports as we can. But you mentioned your highlights and how tough is it, or how much fun is it watching your son at George Washington, and how tough is it to peel back the criticism if there's things that you see that you can help him with. You want to be a dad first, but you can help him along the way. And congrats, by the way. That's got to be you must be awfully proud of him.
And how tough is it that I still think Mir Jr. is like 5?
Everybody, when everybody somebody see like a highlight or watch a game of like, is that your son? I'm like, yeah, I'm 38 now and he's 18. You know what I'm saying?
It shouldn't be like that. You should still be 26. Be like 4.
I know it.
Yeah.
Whatever.
It's cool though, man. I try to stay off of him as much as possible in terms of the criticism. When he calls me after every game and he'll ask most times, what do I think? Or we'll talk about certain situations. And I try to let him be himself because that's the only way he's going to learn. I can't script it out for him. He has to go through every situation himself. And the biggest thing you have to do is you have to get those reps. And, you know, a lot of people don't realize he was a baseball player up until he stopped in his junior year of high school. And then he picked up the basketball full time and became a collegiate basketball player, which is kind of crazy to me. But so his best basketball is in front of him. But I do have to restrain myself at times because I feel like I know so much about the game.
Yeah.
But he has to learn that himself. I can't, like I said, I can't go against what his coaches and his coaching staff wants. I'm not in that locker room. I'm not in the film sessions. Not like with Stan and all that crazy stuff things do. But you know, he's done a great job of making his own name, even though we have the same name, and that was always our focus and one of our biggest fears, that we have the same name. Not saying my footsteps are big, but to follow in the footsteps of your father who played professional sport with the same exact name is going to be tough. I mean, he had referees in high school telling stuff like "you're not your dad" and all this crazy stuff. So,
wow.
Yeah, it sucks. You know, you tell a kid that. Luckily, I still was playing. My wife was there and got the phone call because I probably would have been locked up.
So describe, for those that haven't seen your son play, describe his game and how, I know you and I had talked very early on when he just started the season, and you said like his game's not like mine. He's way more athletic than I am, or I ever was.
Yeah, it's people like, oh yeah, he looks just like you on the court. Well, he really, it's like he doesn't. He's more of a slasher. He's lanky. I mean, if I had to guess his vertical, I would say somewhere in the mid to high 30s. So he's trying to dunk everything, where I was just trying to finish the ball, be creative. He's playing off the ball.
Right.
I dunked once. It was fingertips.
You dunked it. You got it.
I got it. But yeah, he's more of an athlete. I mean, and that's his game right now. He has to continue to develop his jump shot and other things in other areas of his game, which will happen. And I'm excited to see him grow. And the funny thing is, he's gotten so much better every year. So I don't know where his ceiling is. I just know he hasn't reached it yet.
It's very cool. Very cool.
That's certainly impressive. When you think back, Jameer, we get this question a lot, but favorite Magic moment might be hard to do. We got some fans that ask some questions they'd love to get an answer from, but I don't know if you can narrow it down to a favorite moment or not. But that run, I mean, that was for us and for me, my time here, that was as fun as it got. You guys going all the way to an NBA Finals and Eastern Conference Finals the next year. But what do you think back on with your time here?
Well, I think we went to the playoffs, 7 years in a row?
Yeah,
I mean, 2 years before Stan and 5 years with Stan.
Yeah.
That right there, if I had to sum it all up, that right there, those were the best. They were the best moments. I didn't make it back to a playoff after that. After I left Orlando.
Right. Yep.
So for me, it's like I remember one of my teammates. This was probably one of the biggest things that I remember, or one of the things I remember the most is Keon Doolan said, "Cherish these moments. You don't know if you're going to be on a good team again." And you're like, whatever. We went to the playoffs X amount of times. Unbelievable coach, unbelievable organization, owner, GM. Everything was just rolling. And next thing you know, boom, I go to another team. I go to another team, another team, another team. I just keep going to different teams, and I never make the playoffs again. So you don't realize that can actually happen to you, and it happens fast. So if I had to sum it up, I would say it was my 7 years run of making it to the playoffs.
Jameer, what people don't remember, even though you were with us at the very beginning of your career, but you were traded on draft night from Denver to Orlando. Right. What were your initial thoughts? We had a question from a fan. What were your thoughts on draft day that day when you got traded?
Well, I couldn't believe I didn't believe that Denver drafted me, because they sent me a psychological test and I never sent it back.
Really?
So once I swear, so my agent was like, "Well, we know Denver's not going to take you this and that test back." I was like, "Oh, I'm gonna slip a little more in the draft." And then to me, I was like surprised to hear my name. You know what I'm saying? People like, "Oh, were you like happy or just like, oh, finally. I was like really surprised that I didn't think I would get drafted to them. But then once I knew I got traded, I knew I had an opportunity to be in an organization. One, great weather.
Yeah.
Two, I knew somewhat about the DeVos and the DeVos family and what they were about. But three, it was an organization that traded for me. So to me, that meant that they wanted me, and not necessarily saying we're just going to take this guy just because he's there. I was told that if I would have if they could have made the trade at 6, they would have got me at 6. If they would have got me at 5, they would have got me at 5. But fortunately for myself and the organization, I slipped down a little further because it cost them less money.
Well, we get this one, Jameer. You're up there, and for fans that don't know, you're in the Philly area, and you've gotten to see Markelle Fultz close by in Philadelphia the last couple of years. And just first, as a former point guard, just how happy are you for him being healthy and having the year that he was having? And two, just as an NBA fan, just kind of give us some sort of a sense, maybe what he went through up there and how great this is just to see him back playing again.
Well, personally, I mean, I know him a little bit. I played pickup with him a few times, spoke to him over the phone, actually had a nice conversation with his mom All-Star weekend. I'm happy for the kid. I mean, Philly fans and Philly media can be really tough on athletes, especially your number one pick. They expect you to come and be this superstar. Well, not every number one pick is going to be a superstar. The one thing about him is you can see how strong he is mentally to overcome the things that he had to overcome here in Philly and to be the player he is now. And he's still young. I mean, if I had to guess, I don't know how old he is. I bet he's not 21.
I think he just
turned 21. Yeah,
21.
He just turned 21. Right. So he's 21 years old. You have to be like, people expect you to be a finished product nowadays at 20, 21 years old.
Right.
It's not gonna register, or it's not gonna be that for everybody. Everybody's not gonna be a LeBron. Everybody's not gonna be a Kobe or KD. Like, and special guys who came into the league right away and put their foot and put their stamp in an organization. And you can see he's developing well there, and there's people there that believe in him. Obviously, I'm not saying people in Philly did it, but some people need to be loved a little different. Some people need to be taught a little different, and sometimes you just need to get away from a certain environment to succeed. And he's in a great spot. I've spoken to him. I've spoken to Cliff about him. I mean, other people in the organization. I'm just happy for him that he's found a home. Or a place that he can call home.
All right, Jameer, if you look at the Magic record book, you're the all-time leader in assists. You're second in games. You're up there, top 5 in points, top 5 in a lot of things. Can you see the Magic Hall of Fame call coming your way here, maybe next year, maybe the year after that? Like, that would be something. You could put that in your trophy case right next to the one
The things that I've accomplished so far, or that I've accomplished there in Orlando, I would have never dreamt about, being in the organization, and one, setting, records. I've never thought I can be an assist record leader in the organization because, first and foremost, I was a scorer coming out of college, so I had to change my whole game up when I got to the NBA. But yeah, hopefully it gets done, and I definitely want to retire in Orlando Magic, or like some people say, the Magics.
Right, yes, they do.
Yeah, the Magics. I would like to retire a Magic, and one day come down and I've spoken to some people to come down and maybe work in the organization and continue to grow and be a part of the Magic family.
We'd love to have you.
You got to leave that palatial estate up there. No way.
Yeah, man. My entire family wants to leave. I've been holding us back, for the last couple of years. So
do they want to come back down to Florida?
They want to come back to Orlando.
All right.
We'd love to have you. We'd love to have you. Make it work. What about Well, are you enjoying the TV thing? Do you enjoy being an analyst and doing TV work?
I do, especially college, because I think it's a little more challenging because I didn't know that the NBA in college basketball is totally different. It's totally different style. The pace is different.
Really good officiating in college. Really good.
I'm not sure it's good officiating anywhere in the world.
Wow.
But but yeah, learning the guys, learning different coaches. Like it was a challenge for me, especially in the beginning. But once I figured out how to research, once I figured out how to watch the games and break things down, I really started to enjoy myself. And I think TV is something that I want to continue to pursue, especially if the opportunity presents itself.
You'd be good at it. You got the knowledge. You got the charisma. Would love to see it happen. Look forward to following that progress.
We can just bump Dante right off the air if you want. Get him right off that broadcast.
That's right. You can stick your head in those Steve Clifford huddles in my place. See what those are like. Well, real quick before we let you go,
he would hate me in the huddles.
He would hate.
Yeah.
We got some quick hitters for you. These are just quick answer questions for you, Jameer, but just from some fans that we'll post out on social media. But do you have your all-time Magic starting five? If you had to name an all-time Magic starting five, who'd you have on there?
Shaq, Penny Hardaway, Nick Anderson, Tracy McGrady.
Mm-hmm.
I'm putting Grant Hill at the point.
Wow.
Grant Hill at the point.
Grant Hill can play the point.
That's true. That's true.
That's a heck
T-Mac at the two. That's a heck of a team right there. No, I would put T-Mac at the three. Penny and Grant Hill. They're both versatile. The way the basketball is now is positionless, so they can both play the 1-2.
I like that. You get that height. I like it.
Yep.
What about favorite city to play in away game? So when you remember the Magic, what was your favorite city to play in?
Miami.
I
don't know if it was my favorite city to play in, but it was my favorite city to go to. I know when, quick story, we had a trip from, I think Jack Vaughn was the coach. We were in Miami for like 3 days. I felt like I was on vacation. I was like, I brought shorts with me for the first time in a Miami trip. Went to Wet Willie's. Hung out on the beach.
Nice.
We probably lost that game by 30, didn't we?
No, we actually won. Did we win that game? Yeah, we had nothing to lose that year.
There we go.
For several years after that.
My favorite arena to play in is Chicago. I love playing United Center.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. There's something special about that. Do you have a favorite NBA player beside yourself, of course, but favorite NBA player?
Current or like it can be older or whatever?
Both. Current and
or both. Yeah, current and
currently, I mean, I love watching LeBron, his basketball IQ. I think the one thing we do as people and fans is we get bored with success and we get bored with greatness. And you know, he's been great for 17 years in the NBA and it's going to continue as long as he's playing. I mean, I think he can play till he's, 45. He can be the next Brady. I see the jersey back there.
Yep. That's right.
But no, I think he, to me, is somebody that you can break his game down, and he has something from all the best players. Magic Johnson, Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant. I mean, he give him credit. He comes back trying to do something better every year. He's not my favorite player of all time, but that's what I like.
Who's your favorite player of all time then?
Charles Barkley.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. Philly guy. Sure.
Yeah.
All right. My favorite Jameer story, you had so many great lines and so many great stories in Orlando, but George, he was a member of the Nuggets, and he went off that night, maybe 24, 26, walked off the court, looked at me and said, I'm still the best point guard you guys have.
I remember that.
Oh, man.
You didn't mind letting people know, Jameer. You didn't mind telling people.
No. I you know what, man? It's the first time I'm going to say this publicly. I felt like I should have still had the opportunity, or I should have had the opportunity to stay there for my entire career. I felt like I did enough, and the organization did enough to have that. We could have been joint at the hip. but business got involved, and certain people in the front office, I'm not going to say any names, didn't want me around because whatever reason. I mean, I have my own reasons why I think they didn't want me around, but and I just think it was something that could have worked out if those people wanted it to work out.
Well, you were so good with the younger guys, Jameer, for a team that was making that transition and going through a rebuild or whatever you want to call it. Man, the way you are with your finances, the way you think the game, the way your relationships, that's such an asset, especially to young players. We saw it firsthand as you kind of dealt with all those younger players coming in, but that was something that was always very important to you.
Yeah, I was fortunate to have veterans like Grant Hill and Stacey Augmon, who took me under their wing and kind of taught me the ropes, and Pat Garrity. Those guys, you look at who are considered pros, and you're like, well, I need to be like that guy to last in NBA. And I just try to give it back to the younger guys the way I got it as a young guy.
Do you think that's missing a little bit now in today's NBA?
Absolutely. I mean, you look at a lot of teams, they don't have veterans anymore. They don't have real veterans where it's weird. I mean, I know when I was on a team, I tried to get the young guys to get water, and the GM got mad and said I was showing too much tough love. So I'm like, well, what am I? This is how I was raised. You have chores in the house when you're raised in your parents' house. You have to pay your dues when you're playing sports, and that was the way I knew how to get guys to pay their dues. Certain small things. I never was into the hazing or anything like that, but once I was told I was being too tough on guys, that's when I knew the NBA had changed a lot, and they were trying, whether it was direct or indirectly, to sweep the veterans away, the real veterans away, and say we were older, we were too old, or we couldn't play anymore. It is what it is, and like I said, it's part of business. Those guys are smarter than me, obviously, and made some mistakes.
How much has this changed the game, Jameer? Like, you came in 2004, you might have, phones were there, you had that ability, but guys were talking on bus rides, guys were talking in locker rooms, right? You could share a lot of that wisdom there. I sit on these buses, sometimes it's kind of eerily quiet. And I don't know if that's just the way it's gone or if that's how it would have been in 2004. If everybody had phones, I don't know how much you think phones have kind of changed things.
I'm glad I grew up or started playing in the NBA in that era, because it taught me how to communicate. I wasn't a guy we always had sponsors on the back of the plane. I was always one of the guys that went back there and chatted with them. And a lot of these young guys, they don't know how to have conversations other than on the phone, whether it's through text or Snapchat or something like that. They can do it all day on a gadget, but when you get them in front of a corporate business, they struggle a little bit because they don't have the life skills and they haven't practiced it. And it's not necessarily their fault. It's the way the world is. I used to always try to tell guys like Mo and Kyle O'Quinn and Victor Oladipo, all those guys, go talk to those people back there, because they're the ones who are really getting you this money and writing these checks for you for the most part. So you need to be important to them. They need to be important to you, and you need to know how to talk to them. But I fall in the category of everybody else. I'm on my phone too much, just like everybody else, just because we have them. They're accessible. But for my kids get 2 hours a day. They get 2 hours a day of everything. And after that, their entire phone shuts down. My wife, she did something. I'm waiting for her to do it to me, but I've been waiting for that day for her to say, you got 2 hours a day. But it's whether if they want to listen to music, if they want to do whatever they want to do. And at 9 o'clock, when they go to bed, their phones go in my room. So they have no access to it.
Excellent.
That's awesome, man. Well, we don't doubt you're doing things the right way. Keep up the good work. It's been great to catch up with you, Jameer, and we look forward to keeping in touch here. All right.
Appreciate it, man.
Get that family down here. Get off that basketball court and come back to Florida.
Oh man, put some calls in for me, man. Make a couple calls.
All right, we're gonna get it done.
I don't know if you want George to make a call for you, but we'll get some people to.
We'll get Dante to call.
A lot of sunshine. It's nice.
George
and
needs
sunny.
some bass. You need some bass in your voice to make some calls.
Yeah. Okay. I got you. All right, Jameer.
Always
All
good
right,
to
fella.
see you, man. Take care.
All right,
Thanks,
man. You
man.
too.
All right.